All done.
Me, just like that. All done, but it's just begun.
All right.
See what I did there?
Yes, it actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh man, where'd you go? Doubling up over here.
What are you
All
talking
right,
about?
we're live on the internet. Well, because I got the Twitch down here, I got the StreamYards up here, so
Okay.
I didn't turn down the Twitch.
All right. All right. Well, what's up, my brother? What is up?
Nothing. Just here. Happy Tuesday. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. It is
Yeah,
going really, really, really well. Yeah, man.
that is good. I'm happy to hear that. Happy Tuesday.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. Happy Tuesday to you too, sir. How was your day?
Uneventful, I guess. Productive yet uneventful. I worked, of course. Did a little bit of that. That was productive. I got the boy his new phone because it's time for an upgrade. So I was actually I was in and out of the Rogers store in 15 minutes to do an upgrade.
Yeah.
It was
Is that
it was
quick or is that
crazy.
long?
The guy was like, "Okay, you're done," and I was sitting there and I'm like, "All right, can I get a bag? Can I get a bag, please?" like it was done. It was lickety split. No complaints. He did a very good job. Like I sat there and I was messaging the boy to tell him I was all done.
Yeah.
And I turned back to the man. I was like, "Good job, man. Good later. I'm out." But I good job, ma'am. What up to Dow? You gotta. We can't just jump right into it. You gotta wait for more people to be here. We can make it all crazy and. Oh, with friends like
Liberties, boy.
this.
Oh man. These people taking
Wow.
liberties already. Okay.
I mean,
Mr.
it
Ron
has
C, what up
begun.
with you? Today, what up with you?
You're back on government name.
Order.
You're back on government names with Mrs. Ron C. You called her Mrs. Ron C. That's like calling her a government name, yo.
Oh
What the
man.
hell? No
Mr.
fritas, guy.
Carla.
What happened? Jeez. Oh.
No, when you're speaking about that phone, getting that phone, when I was in California the other day and I had to get my son a phone, I got him a prepaid phone. And that prepaid phone for $50 it's like unlimited, and he can use it in Canada when he comes.
Yeah,
No
the Americans
charge.
have the good plans, man. We have the worst plans in the world or something like that.
But like you, what stood out with me is that I was in there and I was out in like 15 minutes. Like it was quick. And I thought it was gonna be like a long, tedious process to get this stuff done. But these things are quick. And then even when I was now changing the phone plan that he has here, I was looking to I called in to fight on like, hey, my son's not gonna be using his phone anymore. So like, what do you suggest I do? And then the customer service rep said to me, he's like, instead of you putting it on hold or canceling it, the cheapest thing to do is to put it on a prepaid plan for $15 and then have it on that plan for 1 month, and then don't renew it. I mean, like, don't put no money on it for 150 days, because that's the longest that you can go without putting money onto a prepaid phone.
Yeah.
Right? So that
I
you
don't
can
look like
have
I
it.
don't look like I'm with you, but I'm with you, brother. Go on.
So you could have it for like 150 days, and you've only paid $15, which works out to be, like he said, the cheapest thing. And I go, "Are you supposed to be telling me this?" He goes, "Well, I mean, I'm not supposed to be, but." So, anyways, I put that on the plan. So then, just about like just before he got off the phone, he's like, it sounded like he was trying to retain the client. You know what I mean? He goes, "Oh, it looks like you're available to get 60 gigs for $48." Right? He said that earlier in the conversation. So now when I'm done wrapping up, like transferring over my son to the prepaid plan, I go, "I remember earlier you said something about 60 gigs for $48." He goes, "Oh yeah." I go, "Can I get that?" Because I'm 20 gigs for $40.
20 gigs? What do you do with 20 gigs? I do like 20 gigs a day, brother. You know how many gigs I have right now?
How much gigs you got?
Now I'm on a family plan. So like every year it kind of like I get a little bit more on top. I have
Yeah.
210 gigs.
Hold on. What?
I don't even connect to Wi-Fi when I don't even care to connect to Wi-Fi anymore. I just don't even bother. Like there's no point. Like at home and stuff, I connect to
Okay,
Wi-Fi.
wait. So 210 gigs for like $1,000 a month.
No, guy, that's whatever. 85 bucks.
What? I need a new
All right.
job.
No, you just got to let me call for you, brother. Let me
Wow, man.
if they're calling into customer service, you got to let me call. Every time I call, I get something for free. They make a mistake,
Wowzers.
I got them. I know how they tried to tell me I couldn't escalate anymore, and then the next thing I did was tag the art. Was it
You
CRTC?
said you can't escalate no more.
They tried to tell me. I was like, no, no, no. And then I just broke down all the rules to him. He's like, all right, fine, I'll transfer you. Let me call, guy. Anytime you got to do customer service, I get you a good deal.
And I thought I was doing good with 60 gigs for $40, $48.
210 gigs, guy. I just got another.
Do you remember when you if you had 2 gigs, like you were like living life?
I remember overages, like if you went over by like what is it, a millibyte, kilobyte, or whatever, they charge you like $100 if you downloaded like one extra song or something like that. You're done.
1 gig, 2 gigs, you were a big deal. Like you were like walking around like you had gold in your pocket.
I remember all like what was that? Free after 9 p.m. weekend. So it goes. So it goes.
Well, before we get deep into this show today, I know we have our special guest, Joanne today, Study with Joanne. But I want to send a big shout out to a couple kids. First, I want to send a big shout out to Fitz, my son out there in Cal State Fullerton. Big shouts out to you for scoring your very first goal last week for the Cal State Fullerton men's soccer team. I also want to send a big shout out to Kimani Baynes at Maryland for the Maryland men's soccer team. Big shouts out to you for scoring your first goal. And Niyah Rose at Southern Methodist University women's team. Big shouts out to you, girl. Congratulations. And you guys just keep on striving, keep on working, and keep doing your thing. Big things to come for all y'all. Just want to give them their props.
Big up. It's good to see the kids doing good things.
For sure.
Very, very good. Very good. You gotta send me the link, guy, for the ESP for the VPN. You got VPN? Did you get the VPN, or you jerry rigged it somehow, guy?
I got the VPN, but I wasn't able to get on. But the IPTV box is what's going on.
The fraud box. That's good. Shut it.
That's what's going on.
That's the only way to do it, man. All right. So before we bring Joanne on, one more thing I guess we have to talk about, because chat's freaking out down here. Your friends are saying things and calling you bad names, or is it good names? I don't know. So what do you do? So you have a badge, right? You have a badge, and your badge change. What does it work? You changed your badge a little bit. You passed on a badge. You put a badge out for somebody to write something different on their badge. How long has this been? When was this? When was this big event that I'm hearing about on the internet?
All right. Well, I asked my best friend to marry me on Wednesday.
And 6 entire days ago, eh?
So 6 days ago.
Cutest thing ever.
So she said yes. We hugged and we kissed, and we said, all right, yay. And then before we shared it with anybody, I wanted to make sure that my mother knew before anybody else. All right. So
your mother was busy cooking, guy.
It just so happened that we ended up having a brunch with my nephews and my nieces that day, and I'm like, okay, well, perfect time to tell her. So we shared the news with everybody that day that Carla and I got engaged.
Well, so I've said this to you already, but I will say it on behalf of the people that can't speak out loud and might be saying it in the chat. Congratulations. It's a wonderful thing.
Thank you, my brother.
You guys are cute together, which is definitely a good thing. And I told this to Carla is, I can see her impact on you, because you weren't all
Mm.
nice. You've never been nice and warm and fuzzy, and you're pretty nice and warm and fuzzy now, and things like that. I mean, you were a nice guy, but you weren't really nice, and you weren't like fuzzy. You weren't warm and fuzzy. You know what I mean? You're a little bit more warm and fuzzy. I see you say things out loud and stuff.
Mm.
You know,
Okay, yeah, I do say things out loud now.
You know, express yourself a little bit more in different ways. You know what I mean? So that's good. But I'm happy for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Throw heart. What is it? A heart in the chat, maybe? Heart in the chat for the man. We'll go with that, or for the people then. All right. So just like, I want to know, did we get an answer to your mother's question at the end of the video? like when's the goddamn wedding, yo? When's the goddamn wedding? Shit.
We don't have that yet, but we'll definitely keep everybody in the loop. Keep everybody.
Hope I'm invited. I hope I can get on like table 12. Put me on like table 12. Let me see if
of course.
I can get table 12, guy.
Of course. Of course.
There you go, Tadell, Mrs. Ron C. We got to talk about it. What kind of questions do you have? You got a question? You still got questions? Or do you just want to say something? Table 12, man. I got sometimes you just got to get inside the wedding, man. You'll make the best of it. You just got to get in there, because I'm not going to be sitting at I'll be the goddamn and eating vegan rolls. Mm-hmm. Are you going to have meat at the wedding, guy?
Good question. If I don't have meat at the wedding, will you come?
I mean, I guess I kind of have to, so we can like take a picture and post it together or something. You know what I mean? Like pizza in the break room, yo. So I guess I kind of have to come. I mean, and for you, a night of lettuce.
Okay. All right. Because I know a couple of weeks ago you told Donovan Bennett, when he asked how much would it take for you to be vegan, and you said, what do you say? $1 million. $1 million. You can go vegan.
No, it was the Dubai money, right? Or whatever.
That's right.
I can do it. Anyways, all right. All right, everybody. Fitz is going to do the intro in a second, but I'll do. This is episode 106 of Pizza in the Break Room. Last week, we had to postpone because I was traveling, and schedules just didn't kind of work the way that they needed to. But we had Joanne Dominico ready to rock last week, and she was very gracious to readjust her schedule and make it back for us. What do we got for the intro? We didn't practice our intro. You do the intro for her. Bring her into the show, guy.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for joining Pizza in the Break Room, episode 106. Today we got special guest Joanne Dominico, and she's going to come and teach us her ninja skills, her studying ninja skills. And hopefully we can get some information that can help us to figure ourselves out, and maybe help some students that might be listening to this or can listen to this on the playback, figure out some study tips. But we'll be right back with Joanne in just a minute.
We here now. We here. Yeah. It's in the break room, y'all. Holla, holla, holla. Woo!
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for making the time to join us.
I want some pizza. Where's my pizza?
Oh boy. Oh. You didn't read the fine print about the pizza, I guess.
No, I didn't. But I love pizza and I love donuts. But I'm not a vegan. I heard you talking about that. I was like, oh no, I'm a pescatarian. Okay.
pescatarian fish, and then veggies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
Dairy. Yeah, no meat. So I can't come to the wedding, even if I wasn't.
Do you eat octopus?
No, it's too chewy.
Okay, I just saw this reel on Instagram where this guy was in the beach, and then an octopus latched onto his back. Oh. And I was like, Lord God.
No. I would never go.
And then he was just holding it there.
Like he was just trying to peel it off, and every time like he peels off a piece, and the next piece just wraps onto the guy. And I'm like, yo, this is madness. And then when they finally like kind of got it off, because people started helping them peel it off. When they finally got it off, then it squirted like the black ink.
Ooh.
Anyway, so you don't eat that.
No.
How long have you been a pescatarian?
I think it's probably close to 8 years now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you decide to go down that road?
As cliche as it sounds, I watched a documentary. But you know what? I had always never really been a big fan of meat. And then when I was pregnant, I had an aversion to, you have to clean and season the meat properly. So I had to wear gloves to touch it. And so I watched the documentary. It wasn't my first time. And then I was like, I think I'm done. And I never went back. And, it was always bacon that brought me back previously. And, but now it's been so long, I kind of crossed that threshold that the thought of eating meat makes me feel sick because it's been so long, right? So I can still appreciate the smell when I smell like a good steak or even bacon. Ooh, that smells good. But yeah, I won't eat it. So just fish, seafood, get my protein from other sources,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What was the hardest part of that transition for you?
I think probably steakhouses. Like occasionally I would like to go to a really nice steakhouse. And so I felt like I missed that because they don't always have the best choices. Maybe a grilled salmon. I didn't love salmon at first. I've grown to love salmon because, my options are limited.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Salmon is cool. I remember when I first got salmon, that would come from home. Like my mom would cook salmon, and her being Jamaican, everything has to be well done.
Mm-hmm.
So she would cook that salmon down to the fiber. So I never really enjoyed salmon.
Yeah.
But then you go out one day to a nice restaurant and they make the salmon the way that it's supposed to be made. And you're like, ooh, okay. Salmon is nice.
Yeah, exactly. I've mastered it. Yeah.
What's your favorite dish? If you're cooking.
Oh, if I'm cooking, probably salmon with like a garlic butter salmon with a bit of lemon pepper, risotto. I make a mean risotto and probably like asparagus. That would probably be my favorite. If I'm
Risotto's
cooking.
not easy, is it?
No, but in the Instant Pot. I make it in the Instant Pot. That's the only thing I use that trendy kitchen appliance for.
Make risotto.
Yeah.
I feel like risotto takes skill. It takes something. I feel like
much easier.
Not anybody can make risotto.
Yeah, much easier in the Instant Pot. I also make a really mean shrimp fried rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It's all right. That's good stuff. Risotto. Denise says risotto is hard work. But
yeah.
I don't know. I guess Denise, you need an Instapot fave. So,
Yeah. Big difference.
It's like the air fryer. I had some air fryer steak today. Oh, sorry, guys. I had some steak today. I made myself a mean steak. Good steak, well seasoned. It was good, but I use the air fryer because that's my new favorite thing in the wide world. So,
yeah. That's how I make my salmon.
Air fryer.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good if you haven't tried it.
Okay, and you put seasonings on it there in the air fryer as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep. You season it up, put a little pat of butter, air fry it, right temperature, right time, comes out perfect, not cooked down to the fiber. Yeah.
You could peel it apart, each fiber. So what's your favorite restaurant? Like if you're going out and like it's up to you, you get to choose where you're going, and that when you get there, you're gonna love what you have.
Okay, well, I love Joey's. I mean, that was my childhood nickname, so that's probably what originally drew me to it. But their herb crushed salmon is delicious with the mashed potato that's in a spring roll. I don't know if you've never tried it. It's delicious.
No, of course.
Their homemade apple pie. So I just feel like they can never miss with that meal. So that's probably my favorite restaurant meal. So I'll usually eat that my birthday, maybe Mother's Day, and that's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, there was a time where I used to eat that every Friday.
Really? Every Friday.
For sure.
I like that. Get on board with that. So you're pescatarian too?
No. I mean, now I don't eat it at all, but there was a time.
Oh, okay. Got you.
You faker. You're a faker guy. This guy just slipped up. See, everybody, he's not really vegan. He's been eating fish. That's what she said. Anyways. Oh, well. All right. All right, Joanne. Can you? I've been reading up some things, and I'm trying to figure out. So I'll let you explain it to us because this is our back to school special.
Yes.
What is a learning strategist?
Strategist, learning
sorry.
strategist.
See, I'm being taught already. Yes, ma'am. Strategist.
That's fine. You know, it's interesting. Before I became a learning strategist, I had actually never heard of it before either. But it's quite simple. As the title implies, I provide strategies to help people with their learning. So typically when I describe it to people, I say I'm sort of like an academic counselor. So I work full time at Centennial College. I work at the Morningside campus, which is where the health science students are. So I mostly work with nurses, paramedics, massage therapists, physiotherapists, that kind of thing. And yeah, so students can meet with me one-on-one, and I talk to them about, their unique learning needs and teach them the strategies that they need to be successful. But I didn't start out my career as a learning strategist. I actually studied and worked as an occupational therapist first for about a decade before I transitioned into learning strategies. And I always worked in education, though. I always worked with students in schools. So it wasn't like a huge jump, but my Nana is like, you spend all this money to go to school and you're not even working in your field. But it's definitely related, because as an occupational therapist, I was definitely trained to be very holistic in how I look at people and their needs and how I can help support them. So in my practice as a learning strategist, I'm very holistic. So, and I'm sure we'll get to the story about how I started my own business, but I ended up changing my title in my private practice to learning and wellness strategist, because the wellness piece is so infused into what I do that I didn't just want to call myself a learning strategist, because I focus on more than just the learning.
Well, can I ask you what is an occupational?
Okay, an occupational therapist. So when you hear that title, you think it
Yeah.
means job, right? Occupation, but it actually means anything that is your activities of daily living, like your daily occupation. So it's a very broad field. So you might have occupational therapists that work in a hospital, for example, someone who's had a stroke and who no longer has the use of their hand. They'll teach them how to eat
Right.
or how to put on their socks. So those are the activities of daily living that they need therapy for. In the education setting, I work with students with disabilities. So students who have ADD, autism, Down syndrome, fine motor difficulties, and I would teach them strategies to help them either remediate or compensate based on their challenges. So yeah, that's pretty much what it is. It's a very cool field. I loved it. I really did. But when I worked abroad for a few years, and when I moved back home, I got a job at Centennial, and I somehow managed to get into learning strategies. And when I started working as a learning strategist, I was like, this is it. This is home. And I loved it. And I can tell that I'm doing what I was meant to do, just because of the ripple effect of everything that's happened since then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you then navigate to become a learning strategist?
So when I first moved back, so I worked in Bermuda actually for 2 years. My mom's from Bermuda. That's my island. I worked there as an occupational therapist in a child and adolescent mental health unit. And then I moved to Atlanta, and I worked there at a school with children with disabilities. And then when I moved back to Toronto and got a job at Centennial, I actually worked at the Center for Students with Disabilities, and then took some time off, had a baby. And then I came back, and I was working specifically with apprentices. And then I started doing like tutoring and supports and dabbling in learning strategies. And then a position became available in the library, the department I work at now. And I applied and got it. And that's when I sort of learned more and kind of taught myself actually a lot about how learning works. And obviously from my own experience as a student. And then how I started my own business, it actually happened really organically. So what would happen is I would meet with students one-on-one, and I would also go into the classrooms and do workshops on time management and how to read your textbook and how to study. And so many of the professors would be like, you need to work with my kid. Like, nobody's teaching students this stuff. You need to work with my kid. Can I hire you to work with my kid? And I'd be like, okay. So I just kind of started doing it on the side. That was probably in 2017, 2018. And then in 2018, I had the opportunity to do a TEDx talk, which was awesome. And from there, I just started to get a little more attention there. And then 2020 pandemic hits. Everybody wants to talk to learning experts about online learning. So that's when I got a chance to do a lot of media appearances, and it just kind of continued to grow from there. So it wasn't like I planned, oh, I'm going to have this side hustle or this business. It just sort of organically happened. And I think because the opportunities keep presenting themselves, that's sort of my validation that, yeah, you're doing something, you know, when the universe kind of aligns.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I feel. And I know that I'm doing the right thing too, because when I meet with a student and they're like, oh, you know, I have kids and I'm working and I don't know how to, I start to bubble with excitement because I know I can help them. Like I get so excited, like, oh, don't worry, I got you. I'm going to teach you the strategies. And that's how you know, right? Like that you're doing what you love. And it's honestly really, really rewarding, because you think about your own experience, and I'll ask you both, like, do you ever remember explicitly being taught how to study when you were in school?
No.
Did anybody teach you?
No, absolutely not.
Like zero hesitation, both of you like, no, right?
No.
And
I was told homework.
Yeah.
Take it home and then
do it.
Just bring it back.
Exactly. So many teachers, like it's not their fault even. They have to get a certain amount of curriculum out. So they're focusing on the what do students have to learn, but they're not necessarily focusing on the how. And, you know, some teachers may teach it, but the students aren't grasping it. So to this day, whenever I ask a student that question, has anyone ever taught you how to study? The answer is still no. How many years later, right? Since I've been in school. So I think that's where I realized, like, there's definitely a need here. Students don't know what to do. And then if you think of today's teenagers and young adults and how they present, sometimes they present, this is generalizing, but some of them may present as, you know, they don't really care. They're not motivated. They're always on a screen. They present with this like apathy that they're just not interested. But I think that apathy is actually an inability. They just don't know what to do. Nobody's taught them. So,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's crazy. All right. You glossed over something. I'm going to jump back because it's here.
Okay.
You were like, and I did a TED talk. Like, how do you end up on a TED talk? How does that happen, or how did that happen for you?
Well, Centennial was hosting TEDx, and I worked there, like I mentioned. So they were hosting the TEDx talk, and they were doing auditions. And you know, the whole tagline of TEDx is an idea worth spreading. And at the time, I thought I had a really great idea. So I had recently become certified as a fitness instructor. As I mentioned, I'm huge on wellness. So I was like, I want to be a fitness instructor. Something that was always on the life to-do list. So I realized that a lot of the students that I met with, you know, had poor time management, really had trouble balancing everything in. And often one of the first things they neglected would be their self-care, and specifically exercise. They just didn't have enough time. So I just had this great idea. I was like, what if I created a fitness class that they reviewed their anatomy? Because remember, I work at the campus with the health science students. So you're exercising your body and learning about it at the same time. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. So when the TEDx auditions came, I said, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how important exercise is. And I auditioned and I got accepted. So it was an amazing experience. I really, really enjoyed it. And what I found the most rewarding about it is I would be walking in the hallways on campus after, and students would come up to me and say, I watched your talk and I went to the gym, and now I go to the gym all the time. And thank you for encouraging me. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Okay, I'll tell you this. Now that you're saying that you walk the hallways and students tell you how cool you are.
I didn't say that.
Well, I said that's what you said.
Okay.
I'm just remembering that last week I was cutting one of my clients' hair, and he goes, how do you know Joanne? I go, well, you know, we're gonna have her on our show. He goes, she's so cool. I go, oh, you know her? He goes, yeah, I used to go to Centennial, and she was one of my I guess you helped him to learn how to study.
Oh, awesome.
And he goes, yeah, man, she's so cool. Like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So now
I
you
love
saying that just reminded me that
Yeah.
that was how you present.
Pretty
As
much.
cool. You present as cool in the school.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? You know, obviously I'm not the age of a traditional post-secondary student. We do have many mature students too. And I often think about how I present. Like, am I like a tanty to these students? Do you know what I mean? Like, I often think about that, but I have a bit of a tough love approach. And you obviously gauge how you can be with each student and their personality, but I kind of don't let them. So for example, if I meet with a student more than once and we established in the first session that they're spending 6 hours a day on TikTok. So I tell them, like, you need to curb that addiction. Like, you're going to fail. So if I see them the next time, I'll be like, okay, open up your settings, like show me your screen time. And if it is still 6 hours, I will boof them. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not going to let them. And so I hold them accountable and I give this like little tough love approach. So I'm curious about how students, how I present, right? Because I'm obviously enthusiastic about what I do. I don't try to be a peer because I'm not. I'm much older than maybe the average post-secondary student. But yeah, anyway, as long as they don't think of me as like a parental figure, because then they won't listen, right? And I think in my private practice, what's interesting is I work a lot with high school students in my private practice. I always send feedback to the parents after with the invoice, and the parents will often say, I've been telling them to do this for years, but you tell them once and they listen. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm not mom, right?
No, for sure. Yeah.
So I definitely see that working in my favor.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I even know with my teenager, there's a lot of insight that I like to, like impart on him. And I think it's wise and I think it's useful.
Yeah.
But I know it just goes.
Oh, definitely.
But then, I ask people that I know that he kind of respects to, have that chat with him, and then he just takes it in, and it's like good information when it comes from someone else,
Sure, for sure.
So I definitely understand what you're saying when, the parents say, I've been telling them that for years.
Yeah. But I think too, I'm very science-based. So when I'm telling a student, for example, like why it's important to get sleep, or, you got to get your mindset right, or why you need to drink water, or why you need to review at a certain time, I always explain the science behind it. So I'm not just telling you, go do this because I said so. I'm saying this is what happens when you don't get enough sleep. This is what happens when you do. And this is how your brain functions to retain information. So if you're sleep deprived, it's going to do this, this, and this. And then I think it just resonates more when they understand the why behind the strategy. So I'm really big on that. And I think as you'll see throughout this talk, like I heard somebody say this at work today. I'm a bird that likes to chirp. I'm a talker. So sometimes it's to the detriment of the student that they have to listen to me kind of ramble on. But I really am big on that. I'm going to tell you why I want you to do these strategies and why I know they work. I give a lot of anecdotal evidence. I like to tell stories, success stories from other students. I have some funny stories, like the time I was accused of witchcraft. I like to
hold on. Stick a pin.
You gotta write that one down somewhere.
No, we're not writing that one down. We're getting this one out right now.
All right.
We're getting this
one out. This is one of my favorite stories. Okay, so I met with a
Everybody
student.
Settle in. Everybody
get your drink. Get your drink for
story.
This one.
So what had happened was, so I met with a student named Haley. She was a paramedic student. Haley came to see me and was bawling, bawling her eyes out, because the paramedic program, you need to get 90s or higher to be accepted. It's quite a competitive program. So she thought she was smart, right? So she came to see me crying because she had just finished her first round of testing and she had failed everything and failed miserably. So she thought that she wasn't going to be able to continue in the program. So she came to me. I met with her 3 or 4 times, and then I never saw her again. So fast forward, we're nearing the end of the semester now. again, I'm walking down the hallway on campus and I run into the coordinator of the paramedic program. Now, I'd never met him in person before, just via email. So I just took the opportunity to introduce myself. I was like, hey, Dave, I'm Joanne. I'm the learning strategist here on campus. And he stops and he's like, you're the one who does witchcraft with my student. I was like, whoa, what are you talking about? He said, we had this one student and she, started off really weak. She was failing all her courses. And then all of a sudden her grades went up so quickly and so significantly that we booked a meeting with her because we thought she was cheating. They were certain she was cheating. And when they met with her, she said, oh no, I just met with the learning science. So he's like, tell me, what kind of rocket science are you doing with these students to make the grades? I think her grades went up by 40%, which is very significant. Yeah. So when I thought about it, and I tell this story in my workshops all the time because it was really about her self-care. She was a hot mess. She was averaging 3 to 4 hours sleep per night. She was living on Tim Hortons ice caps, bagels, donuts. And she was not exercising, super stressed out and anxious. So once I taught her the strategies and she implemented them, because I emailed her after that, I thought it was hilarious. She told me, she said, honestly, Joanne, I feel like a different person. I had no idea, because when students get stressed, they focus outward, right? They neglect what's going on inward. So once someone teaches them that, hey, if you just get 8 hours sleep, then you can actually listen and remember the content. If you eat healthy, it gives you the energy you need to focus. If you exercise, you have that outlet. And there's tons of research on how it impacts your memory and your ability to focus and concentrate. So, and then, I taught her the study strategies too, but she was great. She was intrinsically motivated to succeed, implemented the strategies, and she's out there saving lives.
Awesome.
Yeah. So it's a great story.
Awesome. I'm actually doing a book club right now.
Oh, nice.
And the book that we're doing is called Sleep Smarter.
Oh, yeah. Sean Stevenson. I'm reading Eat Smarter.
What's that again?
I'm reading Eat Smarter. He wrote a second book called Eat Smarter. I'm reading that right now.
So we're doing Sleep Smarter. So everything you're saying is just bringing me back to our last Sunday's conversation.
Yeah.
And it's funny, after we finished the book club, we're heading, Carla and I were heading to Pickering, and we're on the highway, and there was a sign that says, if you're tired, you're impaired.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. It's significant. And I think the stats are incredible. Like I think 2/3 of Canadian teenagers are getting hours less sleep than they need. And they don't realize, because of course they're on their phones, they're scrolling all night. They've tried to push back the start times for the school day, but it's not enough, because teenagers, it's still such a crucial developmental time for their brains, and they just don't understand that it's impacting their mood and their ability to consolidate. It's almost like your brain's a giant filing cabinet. When you're sleeping, it's continuing to process the information you've learned and store it in such a way that you can access it when you need it. So you may be going to class and you may even be engaged in listening, probably not, but if you're not sleeping, it's really hard for your brain to remember that content. So I'm huge on sleep, and I teach a lot of the principles from Sleep Smarter when I'm teaching about sleep hygiene. And it makes a huge, huge difference. And not just students, I think many of us as adults too are probably sleep deprived. And one thing, I got to share this science. One thing that usually gets students to say, oh, is that a lot of people don't realize that chronic sleep deprivation over years and decades is actually a risk factor for dementia, because of the increase in plaques and toxins. Like when we sleep, our brain cells actually shrink by up to 200%. And then we get this wash of cerebral spinal fluid that comes in and washes it away. I call it brain poop when I'm talking to little kids. It's like waste, right? So the brain poop gets washed out and down to our liver to be detoxified out of our system. So when you're depriving yourself, even 1 hour of sleep deprivation, but times a week, a month, a year, several years, you get a buildup of those plaques and toxins of that brain poop. And that puts you at increased risk for dementia when you're older. So when students hear that, they're like, I don't want brain poop in my brain, right? So I'm like, yeah, you got to get your sleep. It really makes a huge difference for short term. You feel less foggy, groggy. You can pay attention, you can focus. And for long term, for the overall health of your brain.
Oh, well, things you learn. I figured I'd learn a thing or two on this episode. I
can't help it.
Oh, this is dope. Really quick, everybody, once again, episode 106. What am I supposed to say, Fitz? They could be anywhere in the world, but they're here with us. Right?
They're here with us.
All right. Shout out to a couple people we didn't get to say hello to. Chris Manny and Callie, Cammy23.
What up with you?
Comfy Krista.
What up
D1
with you?
Demas. Double J. Daryl with a V. Evansmatic. Big up, y'all. Happy Tuesday.
DJ Kid C, what up with you?
Kid
Evansmatic.
C. I know Kid C. Hey.
I was on a podcast with Evansmatic on Saturday on BK Sweetest Music. She had a podcast, and we're two of the panelists on there.
Well, that was the Hip Hop 50 episode special thingy.
Yeah, the women's perspective episode. We're talking about hip hop in the female perspective. We're talking about female MCs and whatnot. So big shouts out to you, my brother.
Very cool.
Wicked. We got some links in the chat as well. There is Joanne's Instagram, everybody. And
that's right. Study with Joanne on Instagram.
And studywithjoanne.com.
Yeah.
And studywithjoanne.com.
Yes.
All right.
I post daily.
Daily. Yes, you do. You do got good content, consistent. Consistency is amazing. Like I guess that's what it takes. I'm learning, right? With whatever we do, with just consistency. So I'm sure you push that. I have a question. It's a 2-part question. Okay. So from the time that you've been, let's say, in the business, how has learning changed? And then how has learning, or how did the pandemic change learning? So
great.
Start with the first one. I'm trying. We've been here we've been practicing. It's 106 episodes, so we got to
question. Okay, so the first question. I definitely have an answer for that. So traditionally, people in my role would assess students and determine what type of learning style they have. So for example, you would take a little quiz and it would tell you you're a visual or an auditory or a kinesthetic learner, right? So it's called learning styles. This was quite popular. As a field, kind of collectively, we've moved away from doing this because what the research has found is that knowing your learning style does not necessarily help you to learn more effectively. And what ends up happening is when students are told, oh, you're an auditory or a visual learner, they kind of pigeonhole themselves to thinking that is the only way that they should be learning, when in reality, it's context specific, it's course specific. You know what I mean? So you may be taking a course that you need to learn kinesthetically, visually, and auditorily. You may need a combination, right? That being said, though, I'm really big on science, as I mentioned, and I typically only teach students science-backed strategies, meaning they've been scientifically proven to be effective through comparative studies. So neuroscientists will study, two groups of students. Group A is trying these strategies, Group B is trying these strategies, and the group that has the most effectiveness with testing will be deemed to be scientifically effective. And there is one strategy called dual coding that has been proven to be effective. And what dual coding means is there's more than one way to code and process the information. And one of those ways is visual, because we're visual creatures. So if I tell you my son for Halloween was Black Panther, the Black Panther costume with all the muscles. And every time I looked over, he was flexing, flexing his abs and his muscles. So when I tell you that, in your head, you're picturing a little boy in a Black Panther costume flexing. And the reason you're doing that is because we think in pictures. We always think in pictures. We don't think in words. So when a student is reading and learning and just looking at words, if they don't have a visual way to conceptualize what those words mean, it's harder for their brain to interpret and therefore retain that information. So I never ask students about their learning style. I instead teach them science-backed strategies. So that's how it's changed for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Your second question, the pandemic.
How has the pandemic changed learning?
Oh, I think the pandemic made learning very hard for a large number of students, if not the majority. Some students did do well with online. And maybe that's because of, maybe social anxieties, or if they had maybe other issues that maybe affected them in the classroom. But I think because it was so unexpected and because we didn't really have the tools or the wherewithal to know how to teach students en masse like that virtually, I think a lot of students had huge gaps in their knowledge as a result. Every single teenager that I met with admitted to me that they would turn their camera, they would set a timer, log in, turn the camera off and go back to sleep. They were not learning at all. And now the students that I'm seeing in post-secondary who are just starting, they're suffering the after effects of that. They have no foundational knowledge. They have very poor time management skills. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to write or take notes. They don't know how to study. So we talked about it already. We're already not being taught how to study, but now you miss several foundational years and you're coming into post-secondary. And then, you know, the system is different. They're not really allowed to fail students. So I think students aren't getting the remediation they need. They de-stream certain grades, which I have mixed feelings about. But yeah, it's been difficult, but I'm definitely seeing a huge difference in the quality of the strategies that the students are coming into post-secondary with, for sure.
Is there any type of accommodations that post-secondary schools are using to help accommodate the kids that have lost the advantage of being able to develop those skills?
Yeah, so definitely. I feel that a lot of programs are starting to, a lot of them had, but I find more and more are having what are called like foundational success courses, where they're teaching them general success strategies in the first semester that can help them with all their courses. And in high schools too, they do have, they're called GLE or GLS classes. So they're optional, sadly. So many students choose not to take them, but it is teaching them learning strategies. But from what I hear, a lot of those courses, if you do sign up for it, the teachers like just use this as a time to do your homework. So they're not even teaching them. But if you look at the curriculum for those courses, it's supposed to be teaching them similar to what I teach.
But then, yeah, because maybe the teachers don't have the passion or the skill set.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So everybody's like, all right, just get on your phone if you want.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah. So yeah, definitely a huge negative impact. And you know what's interesting? I just read a news article the other day about a high school, I think it's in the GTA, where 6 or 7 students got 100%. Did you see that?
Yeah.
St. Bishop Romero, I believe it's called.
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, did they earn 100%? Or like, I was just curious. I don't know. They may very well have. I have no idea, but I was just interested to know, like, how are they assessed? And, you know, was there a bell curve? Like what kind of went on there?
Yeah, because they had like the 6, but there was like, I don't know, like 9 total. I forget the number. But there wasn't a lot that they had the majority of the people that had 100.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So
interesting.
There was something up there.
But so you say that there's 6, right? So maybe it could be possible because then they start competing with each other, right? If they're knowing that there's another person that's doing as well as me, I got to make sure that I'm doing as well as them, and it helps to push,
Definitely.
push the the competition and the efforts and the grades. Maybe.
Yeah, who knows?
But,
anyway, good for them either way. Like that's a really great.
I'll just compare it to what's it called? I'll compare it to Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins, great basketball player, had the potential to be a great defensive player, was not known as such until he went to Golden State, where they were a defensive-minded team, and he got to show his defensive prowess. Same like Kevin Durant was able to go to, and once you're competing with people in a certain level, then you start to show your skill set and your prowess and your defense, Yeah. So maybe these guys are like, oh man, it's the Golden State. Maybe that's the Golden State of high schools in education.
Kids see
whatever
not
kids
the same.
Kids, thank you. As a good partner, Kids see, sometimes I just got to sit here and listen.
No,
since you popped that.
That's funny. Anyway. We at the end of the day, we don't know, right? Which variables it affected their grades. At the end of the day, good for them. They'll get into any post-secondary school of their choosing, and I wish them all a successful future.
Oh man. You have a question, man? Ask her a question, man. Or should I?
I've been.
You... All right, here we go. Question. What is a unique or interesting fact about yourself that most people wouldn't know?
Ooh.
Yeah, we're gonna switch it on you right now. We're versatile over here. All right. You thought we were gonna talk about all learning and back to school. Tell us something interesting that people would not know.
Okay. People might not know that I played competitive volleyball.
That's
In Bermuda. I was on a competitive women's team.
In Bermuda?
I played middle. I used to actually be an avid beach volleyball player as well. So I love volleyball. I'm considering playing recreationally now. I did before, but took a break because life. But yeah, that's probably an interesting fact that people don't know.
That's big.
Yeah.
So when did you come from Bermuda?
I was born here, but I've always had these life to-do lists. I guess bucket lists. I used to call it a life to-do list before that term became popular. And one thing on my list was to live and work in Bermuda. That was just always something I had in my head that I wanted to do. Another one was to become a fitness instructor. Another one was to do a TED Talk. So, you check them off. Oh, I have another interesting fact. So, the hair club for men commercial where they're like, I'm not only the president, I'm also. So I obviously teach time management a lot in my day-to-day life, but I'm also obsessed with planning and time management. So I'm really big on physical planners, and I have like erasable gel pens, and I color code everything. So it's the average person might not know how much I'm into this. So like everything has a color. I track my habits. I use like planner stickers. It really makes me happy to know what's happening and when, and so I don't teach students to do that. It's obviously extreme, but it's just a personal preference of mine. But that being said, I do think everyone, student or not, should have an external system of keeping track of things, because what's the internal system? Just keeping it in your brain. That is not a reliable source, as many of us know. Right. So it doesn't matter if it's physical, if it's digital. So Bennett, how do you keep track of things? Are you an agenda person? Or?
I put some stuff in the calendar. I'm just a calendar guy. It's
like a wall calendar or a digital calendar?
Digital calendar. And just for I have a work calendar, I guess, for meetings and stuff, but I don't even put my regular calendar and my work calendar together. So I'm terrible at planning.
Okay. You sounds like you need a learning strategist in your life.
I think I need some consultation. Jeez. It could help.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of you out there? Are there a lot of learning? Is it?
That's a good question. Most post-secondary institutions do have someone like me or many people like me. Traditionally, I would say most institutions have them specifically for students with disabilities. So they might be affiliated with the accessibility department. But I think because of, it's called UDL, Universal Design for Learning, a lot of institutions are moving towards having support for the general population and not just specifically for students with disabilities, because it can benefit everyone. So Centennial is one of the few that does have learning strategists for the general population. And then there's a few that do it in private practice, but so.
Cool. Thank you for that.
What about you, Jay, Fitz? How do you plan?
My calendar on my phone is all my work stuff. So everything related to work is perfectly planned and operates like a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. Once work time is over,
then you switch to the internal system of remembering.
Switch to the internal system, and I'm like, I'll leave the house, go to the car, I'm like, shit, the keys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really think you could devote, most people do like digital. I just like to see what my whole week looks like. And plus too, I feel like I'm exceptionally busy, right? Because full-time job, busy private practice, and then a son who's involved in rep sports. So there's not a lot of free time. but you make time to do important stuff like podcasts and stuff.
I I try to write things down. Like I have been gifted an agenda,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when I've been gifted it, I get to writing, and I'm feeling proud. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna start operating like properly now. And then like 3 days go by, and then like I forget the agenda where it was.
Yeah.
So consistency, man.
That's all it is. I guess that's the key to life right there. The key to life is consistency.
I agree. I think it's also discipline. One of my friends and mentors has a saying, discipline is freedom. And I'll come back to that. But what I want to say is that I often ask students what they prefer, because you can't teach someone to be an agenda person if they're not, right? So I typically, if you were a student right now and you were coming to me and tell me like, I tried an agenda, I wrote it for 3 days, I would never use that method for you, because it's not going to stick. So it doesn't make sense. So we would use a different method that would make more sense based on your unique needs of your work and family life, So it wouldn't be that. But yeah, I think I usually have theme words every month. I have a theme word, and it's just, I tend to notice that students are coming with similar themes. And one month, it might have been November, December, the theme word was discipline, because I think so many students just didn't have the discipline. And I was explaining to them that discipline is freedom. So discipline now to take care of your health and make sure you eat healthy and exercise and sleep right equals freedom when you're a senior citizen. You don't need a wheelchair. You're going to be able to drive still. Financial discipline now, where you save your money, you don't run up your credit card, is going to equal financial freedom when you want to buy a house or buy a car or retire early. So it's the same thing with your studies. You put in the work now, and then you're not going to be having to waste time and money repeating courses or dropping out and having to start something new, and having to work in a job that maybe is not ideal for you in terms of your dreams. So I'm really big on helping students to build healthy habits and remain disciplined in carrying them out on a day-to-day basis. It's hard. Very hard.
Okay, I asked you. Okay, earlier when we just started, I gave a shout out to some student athletes that have just recently joined their respective soccer teams and their universities that they're attending. As first year students, what are some of the trappings that might a student fall into?
Yeah,
that you are familiar with that they can avoid.
For sure. That's a great question. And actually it's very timely, because I just tonight before the podcast finished my draft of a proposal. I'm going to be starting a new branch of my business that is specifically for student athletes, because I recognize that they have unique challenges. So specific to student athletes, to answer your question, I think one of the biggest traps is not being clear on how you're going to need to balance your time, because they know that the sport is likely going to dominate their time with games and practices and lifting, going to the gym and stuff like that. So they don't anticipate the time that's needed to also do their coursework. And for many institutions, if you don't keep a certain GPA, then you're not even able to play. So they can't neglect that academic component, or else it's going to impact their athletics. So I really work with them to map out what I call a visual weekly schedule, where we put in when they have class, we put in when they have practice and games and any other fixed commitments. Some of them may even work outside of school. And then we map out, okay, you have these 5 courses, which one is going to need the most time? Let's plug in when you're going to read and prepare for those classes. I always teach them how to study smarter, not harder, especially student athletes. When are you going to read and prepare for these classes? When are you going to review? When are you going to study? When are you going to work on your assignments? When are you going to post on discussion boards? And we plug it all in. So the student I met with this week, he's first year engineering student. His schedule was so full, literally from 8:30, 9 a.m. till 10 at night. We had blocks of time, but I also teach the importance of taking breaks. So we had, strategically placed breaks. So just like when your phone battery gets low, you have to take a break and plug it in and recharge it. I was teaching him that that's what you need to do to be able to sustain your energy, to be able to follow a schedule like this, right? So I always, with student athletes, start with the self-care, which I already mentioned I'm huge on, and then I go with the time management, because I feel like that's the biggest like you said, trap for them is not anticipating how much time it is, because in high school, especially coming out of the pandemic, they didn't really have to do a lot. So now your course load is much heavier. It's a lot more work. It's a lot faster timeline. You're writing more tests, more assignments. Like there's just more assessments in general. So if you're not managing your time well, you're going to have problems. Yeah. So that's the biggest thing for sure.
Okay. I'm gonna snip that and share.
It's true though. I mean, it makes sense because it's tough. Like a kid wouldn't sit down and map out their week or their month or whatever it is. They're not going to do that. But if they can see it, maybe it just gives them perspective.
Yes.
To help them out, right? So these are all brilliant tips.
And to your other point though, it's with the agenda, right? I make one schedule that's there to serve as their guide for the whole semester. It's not set in stone, but this is your map of how you're going to fit it in, print it and post it in your study space. You're not making a new one every week. You don't have time, right? So it's a much easier strategy for busy student athletes to just map out when their tests and assignments are due at the beginning and then map out their visual weekly schedule once.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Everybody, this is Joanne Dominico. She is learning us some things. There's a link for her Instagram in the chat. But this is it's good to have you here, and to hear your passion is pretty cool as well. Like I told you when I kind of reached out to you, I was like, we just want everybody to be able to tell their story, and just seeing how you speak about it is pretty awesome, because it's clear that you're like, whoever you're working with, like, good for them, lucky them, because like you're invested. So that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Brown thing he asks.
Yeah,
right?
I hear you. And that's why, Brown thing, a lot of times, like, my name is Study with Joanne, and a lot of the stuff I post sometimes is student specific, but so many people will tell me the tips are helpful for them as well. Because whether you're a student or not, time management is an important aspect of being an adult. And it's hard. I think we live in a day and time where we're busy all the time. Life is busy. So it can be tough to fit it all in, for sure.
All right.
Got a question here.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. No, it was time for a question. Here we go.
Mrs. Ron C asks, what is the biggest lesson you've learned?
Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting these deep questions. What is the biggest lesson I've learned? I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that failure is the best teacher. Yeah. And there's I have so many examples, but I'll just give a few short ones. So I talk about it in my TED Talk that I failed anatomy. I was an honor roll student in high school. So similar to my paramedic example, thought I was, quote unquote smart, and failed. And that's when I realized, I really don't have a clue what to do here. I don't know how to study. And this was way before I was a learning strategist. So I had to kind of research and trial and error, several different strategies, until I kind of found my golden magical secret recipe of what worked. And if I hadn't have been intrinsically motivated to continue, I could have just dropped out, and who knows what my life would have been, right? But it was that failure that taught me, okay, I got to try something different. I think it's Einstein who said doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So the second example I have is, there's been a few times where I thought I really wanted something, and when I didn't get it, I was very upset, only to find out later that it was because something better was waiting. And so I think it's the same premise, that failure. It was the failure that led to something better. So an example too was, when I first started working at Centennial, when I was working at the accessibility department, when I went on mat leave, when I came back, I was working part-time. When I came back, the position went to full-time, and I applied for it very, very confident that I would get it because I had been doing it. But the person who replaced me ended up getting it. And I was upset. I remember even crying, because I'm like, that was my job. But little did I know, right around the corner was this learning strategist position, which is seriously a gift from the universe to me. So had I not had that failure, then I wouldn't be where I am today. So, you know, I think a lot of famous people talk about that as well. Michael Jordan not making the grade 9 basketball team. Like,
okay.
Yeah, like just don't think that because something didn't go your way or you didn't do as well as you hoped, that means that it's a bad thing or that it's over. Like I just think we always have to learn from our failures.
So how come when I bring up Kevin Durant and Andrew Wiggins, it doesn't work, but when you bring up Michael Jordan, it works?
Right, kids?
I mean,
That's a much better.
It just worked. She's showing you a thing, She's learning you something. See, without just coming out and saying it, you just learn something. So
Exactly.
on this life stuff, right? That question. So
it's not fair.
No, it's fair. It's very fair. It makes perfect sense. Here's the question, Joanne. Ready? What pivotal moment or experience in your life shaped you the most as a person, and how did it influence the trajectory of your life? We're on these deeps. We might as well stay on the deep stuff right now.
I shouldn't have chosen tea as my drink of choice because
we told you
origin story.
Oh my gosh, that is such a hard one.
How did you become Wonder Woman?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know. Nothing's coming to me because I feel like I kind of alluded to it. I honestly think it might have been what I just shared about like not getting that job and becoming a learning strategist, because that did change the trajectory. It really did. I think you know how some people are maybe okay with a certain level of complacency. Like the job was cool. I didn't mind it, but it's so different to what I do now and how I feel now about what I do. So I think that was a huge trajectory. And I think a lot of our identity is tied to what we do for a living, right? And I used to always think when people talk about, find your passion, I'd be like, yeah. And I wouldn't say that I went actively looking to seek my passion, but I'm 1000% passionate about what I do, So that moment for sure was pivotal, because even there's a part B to that story. So I didn't get the job with the accessibility department, cried, applied for the learning strategist job and didn't get it. I didn't get it the first time because it was a new position they created. So it was like temporary. And then it was temporary for a year. Somebody else got it. And again, I was devastated. But then when the permanent position came up, I decided to apply again because I just had this feeling that I would be really good at this. And I did. So I have another one too, Sean. Okay.
It is.
I have another one. So the other thing is, when I was young, my sister, I have an older sister. So if either of you have an older sibling, you can relate. My sister used to be mean to me, and she would tell me, you have horseshoe up your butt. You always get whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, it happens for you. Like I would want to try out for something, or I'd run a race, and I would win. So she would just be like, you're just so lucky. It wasn't that I was lucky. It was that I discovered at a young age, if I believed it was possible for me to do something and visualize myself being successful in that thing, then it would happen sometimes, not all the time by any means. So I've really applied that philosophy to my life. So when I auditioned for the TEDx talk, I kept picturing myself on the little red circle with the TED letters behind me. I kept picturing it. And the second time I applied for the learning strategist position, I kept picturing the hiring manager calling me and saying, congratulations, Joanne, you got the job. Right. So I'm a big believer in positive visualization. And I, yes, the universe is universing. Exactly. I like these down things. Yeah, it's so true. So I talk to students about it all the time because I tell them, like, picture yourself walking across that stage and in your cap and gown, and this is actually kryptonite for test anxiety. If you picture yourself in your testing space, feeling calm and confident, then your brain doesn't perceive the test as such a threat and it's more likely to chill. So I teach them the power of positive affirmation and visualizations all the time because I've seen firsthand how much it really works. So I think that is something that shaped the trajectory of my life too, because remember I said I had that life to-do list. So if I visualize these things happening, then, you know, I feel like it helps. Although Sean Stevenson, our friend and author, I was listening to, no, it wasn't Sean Stevenson. It was the Huberman Lab. Have you ever listened to that podcast?
Which one?
The Huberman Lab with
Huberman.
Andrew Huberman.
Yeah, every day for sure.
I love, see, we're right there with podcasts and books.
All right, Sean.
Yeah.
So she is in the line with me with Katie and Andrew Wiggins. She's just trying to make me feel
you guys
good.
got something. Well, she's showing her versatility. Look at that.
Yeah. So anyways, he's talking about goal setting, and the same thing that I'm talking about, the affirmations, he said that the research is showing that if you just say you want to set a goal that you are going to work out today. So instead of visualizing yourself on the treadmill working out, instead you visualize yourself slumped over on the couch and how awful and sluggish you'll feel if you don't work out. The researchers found that that actually works better than visualizing yourself working out, for example. And I was like, what? Yeah, it was really interesting. So that's why I think I listen to podcasts and read so much, because I always want to know, and I use it for inspo for my posts. So I in my phone every month, like right now I'm on October, because I always pre-batch write for the month ahead. So every time I get inspo from a book, a podcast, students that I meet with, friends that I speak to, podcasts that I'm on, I make notes, and then I will write my post based on that inspo. Yeah.
What color do you write your posts in?
What's the color for podcasts that you like?
Well,
on Thursdays, what color is that?
Okay, you guys are making fun of me, but Study with Joanne stuff is always turquoise because it's my favorite color. Yes, Study with Joanne stuff is always turquoise. So.
Oh boy! Wow. All right. Next question, not so deep. Ready?
Ready.
Let's see. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why?
I feel like I've answered this question many times playing icebreakers with students. I love the idea of being able to read people's minds. But I don't know if I would, like, that might really suck, if you actually had it. Because maybe sometimes, when we were talking about how do I present to students, maybe I don't really want to know how I actually present. Yeah, I'm trying to think, because oftentimes when I'm asked that question, it's like a multiple choice and I just pick the best one.
We're not easy on you here. No multiple choice. Sorry.
Oh, maybe to be able to infuse what I know into someone else's brain so that they know and do it. Because sometimes it's very frustrating.
Osmosis or something like that.
Yeah.
Mrs. Osmosis.
I love that.
You know who she is? She's I don't know if you ever watched Daredevil, but there was is it Daredevil? And I forget the name of the villain, but he used to make people just do whatever he wanted them to do. He just told them with his mind.
Yeah.
So it sounds like what she wants to do. Witchcraft.
Witchcraft, exactly. Isn't that so funny? I've already been accused.
Witchcraft.
So, you know what? Osmos, you guys are funny. I think because sometimes it's really disheartening when you meet with a student and you can help them, but they just won't listen, or they won't try, or they maybe just don't get it, or it didn't resonate. It's heartbreaking. And I had to accept a long time ago that every student has the right to fail. I can't help everyone. I try my best. I try. And I find, especially with Black students, I have a soft spot, obviously, and I always want to kind of take them under my wing and do, I treat all students the same, but I just feel like I have a soft spot in my heart. So I wish I could just so that they get it and can actually follow through. Yeah. Yeah. This chat is hilarious. Everyone must be hungry. They were talking about, I saw someone talk about Tim Hortons.
They're grown folks, but they sound like they're high school students. So if you read the chat.
Yeah. They could use some learning as well. Anywho. Jeez. Once again, everybody, we are here with Joanne Dominico. This is episode 106. we're here every Tuesday at 9:30. We're also here Fridays, 7:45 a.m., bright and early in the morning. So you can start your weekend with us, I guess, if you want to. You can catch us on the Twitch, the YouTube, the Instagram, everywhere at Pizza in the Break Room. So shout out to everybody that's up in the place. It's great that you're here. This is a good one. Mr. D Mac, what up? Miss G Live, I don't think we said hello to you. IQ Remix. The smartest man on Twitch that doesn't know the word trajectory. That's all right. He doesn't know it. I can't say it.
Cindy Milo said trajectory is John Tory's cousin.
That's
trajectory.
Funny.
Wow.
I get it. You had to take a second to read that one. And I would like to just quickly shout out. He's in the background, so he's gonna hate this. But G the Greek, big up. Shout out to you and the fam. Thank you for being here and having the time to come out, brother.
Yes,
sir.
yes. Big shouts out to the fam.
Boy. Oh man.
I see a question in the chat.
Oh, here we go.
How do your tips apply on mommyhood? Yeah, that's a great question. That's my new BFF, Brown Tang. Yeah, I think, I'm a big believer in the saying more is caught than is taught when it comes to being a parent. So I often, when I'm working with elementary school students, I actually prefer to work with the parents because they're young and they just want to play and have fun and learn. But it's really the parents' habits and time management skills and how they're modeling healthy habits, how they're modeling healthy sleep and eating healthy. So I often work with the parents on that. So really think about what you want your child to improve in and think about how you can model that to them. I'm also really big on connection and safety in terms of it's really important to me that my child feels safe enough to come to me when something's bothering them. So I have a really good strategy that I actually learned from another counselor who she told me that she used something called the truth stick with her children growing up. So the truth stick could be, I don't know, a pen, a ruler, anything. It doesn't have to be a physical stick. And anytime her child wanted to tell her something but was scared that they would be mad, they had to both hold on to one end of the truth stick. And then the parent wasn't allowed to get mad. They just had to listen. And she said that when they were young, it was fun. Like, Mommy, I took a cookie and I wasn't supposed to. But then as they got older, it turned into, Mom, my friends were drinking. And I have to call you to come home and to give me a ride. So she said that because she had introduced that concept early, it really helped. So it's something that I implement here at my house too. And I find that my son and I can have those hard conversations and he feels safe to talk to me because he's not scared I'm going to whoop him. Not that he doesn't get in trouble. Not when he's holding the truth stick.
Not when he's holding the stick. So kids see, it was mentioned earlier, but shit. I mean, this is the man's podcast. I think we can big him up one more time. So that Fitz and Carla.
Yes. Congratulations.
Well,
Congratulations.
Thank you.
One more shout out for that. Big up. There you go, Mrs. Ronci. You can make some more noise about it. Holla, holla, holla. Ooh.
Thank you. Big shouts out, Kids See. Much respect. Thank you, everybody who sent me congratulations on my social media post today. I thank you so much. I mean, it really feels good to know that people feel good about the announcement. So I definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much, y'all.
Oh, that's cute. Okay, so when you, I guess, schedule in your relax and chill time, what does Joanne do in her relax and chill time?
Oh, okay. Well, I love to read. I typically read every night. I read mostly nonfiction because I love to learn about learning and things that I can teach other people. But when I go on vacation, I have
read or Audible.
Both. Yeah, I do Audible in the car and podcasts sometimes when I'm like cleaning or doing chores or stuff. And then I read a physical book at night, and I actually highly recommend that because according to good sleep hygiene, you shouldn't be on a screen for 30 to 60 minutes before bed because the blue light blocks the melatonin production. So one of the best things you can do is read from like a bedside lamp, a dimly lit room. When you lie down and read, then you get the surge of melatonin. I think West Indians call it dropsy, right? Where you can't keep your eyes open. So that's how I love to fall asleep every night. And so right now I'm reading Eat Smarter by Sean Stevenson. And on vacation is when I read nonfiction, because I feel like vacation is a break from your life. So I also like to just get absorbed in someone else's life by like reading a fiction book. I don't often watch TV. I've never been a big TV watcher, but sometimes I will enjoy, a few shows on Netflix. So I recently watched The White Lotus. My brother recommended it. I enjoyed it. I watched it on a plane and then watched the rest when I got home. And then, and Just Like That, the sequel to Sex and the City, good girl stuff. I like easy, light. I don't really get into those heavy. I don't like dark stuff. I don't like zombies and killing or vampires.
You're not a Black Mirror type of person?
No.
No Black Mirror?
No.
No, you don't want to see the Prime Minister with the pig?
No, not my thing. Not my thing at all. I love to, one of my favorite things to do is I have a group of girlfriends, and Bennett, you know one very well. There's 4 of us who have been best friends for over 30 years. And we see each other once a month. We rotate whose house we go to, and we have what we call a marathon brunch. It's lasts usually a minimum of 8 hours. So the person hosting will provide the food. We all bring different snacks or dessert or drinks or whatever. And we sit on the couch and we laugh and talk and cry. And just, it's amazing. I feel like it's therapy, because they're not just my friends, my sisters, because we've been friends for so long. So I do that for fun. And yeah, I'm pretty busy. Oh, one other thing that I love is I go to the farmer's market. The farmer's market is where it's at. Okay. The farmer's market every Sunday. I'm telling you, I just posted in my stories the other day, they need to hire me to be on their marketing team, because the amount of people. Yeah. So I go to one, it's just it's far east of Bowmanville. But they have this lettuce. They literally just pick it the day before or something, and they rinse it in the water to cool it from the sun. They put it in a big Ziploc. It will last for 3 weeks in your fridge. It doesn't wilt. It doesn't get that nasty liquid. And it's so good. You can taste the difference. So I'm big on healthy eating. So I just love getting fresh produce that's from around the corner and not from Mexico or South Africa. And it's only open, May to October. So I love going every week. The vendors all know me because I'm a regular at the farmer's market.
I may visit the farmer's market.
I love it. Yeah, I really am a big fan.
There's a Hamilton farmer's market.
I've never done that before.
Sounds better.
No.
Yeah.
You've never gone to a farmer's market?
There's so many.
But I'm usually cutting hair. Well, the farmers are marketing their farm.
Somebody asked who my favorite author is. My favorite book is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh, I read that.
Atomic Habits.
Excellent.
I was in the book club that he was in, but I dropped out. But I read Atomic Habits. That was like the first or second book. So
yeah, excellent book.
It is an excellent book, and we did that book twice, and I still just can't get my habits down.
Really? So one of my favorite.
It's awesome.
Tell me.
It's awesome. Like I know, you go through it and like, it's just life just be lifing. I just need to life it with.
No, okay. So let me tell you one of my favorite strategies from that book that I use all the time. And
yes, go ahead.
It's called habit stacking. Do you remember that one?
Oh, you're just yelling at me right now.
No, it's so good. So for those of you who don't know, habit stacking is taking a new desired habit that you want to add into your routine and stacking it onto something that you already do anyway. So a prime example is I use habit stacking to establish my meditation practice. So I teach students the benefits of meditation. There's so much research on the benefits. It's actually, I think, life-changing for some people. It's so effective.
I think I have to bow out of this podcast. I can't deal anymore.
Come on, just listen. So
go.
Don't mind him, man. Don't worry. Just keep going.
Okay, so basically, think about brushing your teeth. Hopefully, you never forget to brush your teeth, or you never say, "Oh man, I gotta brush my teeth today." You just do it. It's just so ingrained in your daily routine. So I decided to habit stack meditating with brushing my teeth because I never forget to brush my teeth. And I have done it so long now that even if I'm rushing to go out, I can't brush my teeth without stopping, turning around, leaning on the counter and pressing play. I use a guided meditation. I like the calm app. And then I habit stacked stretching in the shower because I always forget to stretch or don't stretch enough. And I'm like, oh, it just makes sense. I never forget to bathe. And the water's warm, so your body's already warm. And I always stretch. So I never now can take a shower without stretching. Because I habit stacked it. So what happens when you habit stack is your brain treats it like one task instead of two. So you're much more likely, because we live on autopilot. We wake up and we do the same things in the same order every day. So it's really hard to incorporate a new habit into your already well-ingrained routine. So that's why it really works. Give it a try. Habit stacking. Yeah.
Shout out to Brown Tang.
What did she say?
Shout out to daily bathing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Joanne. What are you doing here?
Oh my goch. Okay, let me stop. Okay.
No,
what other questions
continue.
people have?
You're here for a reason. You're here for a reason.
Weekly shower. Funny enough, I was talking to some coworkers today about, some people have skin issues and they went to a specialist and they said that you're showering too much. It's the hot water, it's the soap that removes the skin barrier. And they were talking about how historically people didn't really bathe regularly. And did you know that, speaking of weddings, one of the reasons why the bride had a bouquet was to mask her odor from the groom. Yeah, if you look it up, that was
science.
The reason why. Yeah. Anyways.
Oh wow.
Okay, hang on. All right, just real quick. Did anybody feel the earthquake the other day by chance? I'm just wondering. Anybody? There was an earthquake the other day. I don't know if that kind of stuff hits your newsfeed. It hits my newsfeed, but I will tell you. When was this? I forget the day now. I was lying in bed and the house started shaking, and they did some construction across the street in the ground. They dug into the ground or whatever. And since then, the house vibrates a little bit. But the other day, it vibrated for like 15 seconds. Not too crazy, just like this. The earthquake was actually in St. Thomas, which is just outside of London, and it was felt all the way to Pennsylvania. Apparently, it was a 4.3 on the Richter scale, Mrs. Ronci. But I never felt. And then I went to the Twitter, because if something's happening real time, the first thing to do is the Twitter. And then you validate what you see in the Twitter. That's the quickest way to get real time information, or the X, whatever they call it now. Anyways, I was just wondering if anybody felt the earthquake, because Earthquake Canada validated there was an earthquake, and I actually felt it.
I didn't feel it.
It was a real thing. Anyways,
it was
sorry,
on your side
digressed.
of the
No.
It was on your side of the tectonic plate.
No, it was far, man. Anyways, 4.3. Shit, I felt it. Anyway,
4.3 is no joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it is, for like, because you were in California, I think, at the time when we were talking. Anyways, I'm done. Sorry. Anyway, do you have a question? Ask her a question, man.
No, you know what? What I want to ask her. Okay. What is the best thing that you've encountered with your endeavor, and what is the most difficult thing that you've encountered with your endeavor?
Yeah, that is a good one. I know the worst thing, or maybe the thing that I find most uncomfortable is live news. So sometimes, yeah, it's really hard because
Okay.
it,
Not
I,
CP24, but like,
yeah, no, yeah, I was on CP24.
oh,
Mm.
live
Yeah,
news.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Okay, all right.
I think that's the hardest part because you have to be on, and I'm nervous. I feel like I can't eat when I know I'm going to be on live news. I'm probably one news segment away from my goal weight because it's very nerve wracking for me. Because you never know, they obviously send you talking points, but when you're asked to come on as an expert, but you don't know if they're going to say something different. And it happened to me once where, similar to what I'm sure you do, you ask, like, is there anything you don't want to talk about? And so I told them I don't want to talk about babies because I'm not a specialist. I'm not an expert in baby development. So thanks, Kitsy. Then they asked me about that. I mean, thankfully, I'm trained as an occupational therapist, so I know a little bit. But I told them, don't ask me that. So it was very nerve-wracking. So
They
I
did
think,
on purpose. They're like, watch this.
So I feel like I think that's to make it a bit of a broader answer. The worst part of my endeavor is when I have to present to an audience and I feel ill-prepared. So even though to my friends like Kitsy, I may look fine, it really bothers me if I don't do well. Because it's important to me that I get a good message out to help people. So when I don't feel like I did that, I really am disappointed. The best thing is knowing I made an impact, for sure. That's hands down the best thing. Hands down, whether it's a micro impact with one student. And I think that's why I love working with health science students, because I know that they're going to go on to help so many people in their respective career. That to me is so rewarding. Or if it's a group, and I feel like the students will come up to me. That's always how I know if it was a good session. The students will line up to talk to me after. And it feels amazing to know that, maybe one thing I said is going to help them to make one small change in their life. So that's probably the best thing, I think, is that I get the chance to maybe help change the trajectory of people's lives.
Shouts out to the Tory family.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And you saying that you helping someone that eventually goes on to help somebody else's life, that one student that you said that you had, that the teacher said you did voodoo on them, that was a paramedic.
Yeah.
The person that I said that came to my shop that said, how do you know Joanne? He was a student and you helped him, and he was also a paramedic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's gone out there to go help people too.
I love that.
Thank you, Joanne.
Paramedic is hard. Yes. Oh, warm fuzzy. But yeah, I love it. I honestly do. I love what I do. So I feel like if you are a student yourself, anyone listening here today, or if you are a parent of a student and they're struggling, get them the support. It doesn't have to be a learning strategist. It could be a tutor. I think that's a big message. Is I always tell students at the end of the day, your report card or your transcripts, it's never going to say how many times you got help. It's only going to say your grade. And I think that applies to people who aren't students too. Like, seek support if you need it. Mental health is a huge area of concern for so many of us. If you're struggling with any area in your life, there's typically a lot of supports available. So I always highly recommend that people ask for help when they need it. It can make a big difference and change the trajectory.
I have a question. We're going to start asking everybody this. It's broad. All right. Maybe you've answered it, but you just clarify for us maybe then.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing to do?
What is my favorite thing to do? Okay.
You do whatever you want with that.
My favorite thing to do, I mean, outside of the obvious of spending time with people I love, that's hands down my favorite thing to do. Like my son, my family, my friends. But I think the second favorite thing to do would be to have a planner party.
Why do you pick that up again?
Because I love it. Yeah. So
because I love it. A planner party, you said?
I called it a planner party. I have my private planner party where I get my pens, I get my stickers, and I reflect on how my week went, and I plan my next week, and I meal plan. I love
plan everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty organized. But I teach it for a living, right? I practice.
I was going
what
to ask
preach.
you, how do you handle work-life balance? But that question is irrelevant because you have it right here.
She'll just be like this. I do it.
Yeah.
It's in yellow. It's in yellow, right? What color is it?
Yeah, no, pink. Pink is personal. Yeah. So yeah, pink is personal. So
How many
that's
colors do we got? How many colors?
Well, what's the whole pack of the pens? See, so yeah, so I do the work-life balance by prioritizing my self-care for sure. So I usually
I
walk,
love it. Yeah.
walk,
for sure.
bike, or do weights almost every day, at least 5 to 6 days, and then I read every night. And but I do work too much. Like if you think of your life like a pie, you should have 3/3, one for self-care, one for productivity, and one for leisure. My productivity piece of the pie is way bigger than my leisure piece of the pie. My leisure piece of the pie is a sliver, right? My self-care is not bad because I put emphasis on that, but my leisure is pretty small.
You know what you inspired
Productivity is
me?
huge.
You inspired me. I'm bringing the book back. I'm bringing the book back. I'm not gonna put it in my phone.
Yay!
I'm actually gonna do the book. I'm gonna use the colored markers and stuff. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
All
do
right.
it.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it.
I'm going to hold you accountable to that. I want you to
Yeah.
send me a DM and show me.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use
Wow.
you as my accountability.
This is
partner.
what you get when you study with Joanne. Accountability.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Like
Right.
I could just see my life just taking off in this type of direction.
Trajectory.
Yes,
That's going to be my theme word for September.
Trajectory.
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 Brown
Oh, no,
King
no.
80. She's pescatarian. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
She's pescatarian, not one of them people, not one of them
Yeah.
vegans.
No, not vegan. I think it would be challenging for me to be vegan. I love eggs and I love cheese. So I think those two things would be hard for me to give up. So, yeah.
Oh boy, that is amazing. You know what today is? Fitz, we didn't tell the people what today is. So today we talk about on the show National Whatever Day.
Mhm.
It's only really two good ones. There's National Chop Suey Day.
Oh,
Absolutely.
chop
And it's
suey.
National Lemon Juice Day.
Lemon juice.
Oh, okay.
Not just
lemonade,
lemons, but lemon. That's pretty.
Lemon
We've had some pretty good days on some pretty good days that landed like perfectly. But I mean, chop
juice.
suey's good. Lemon juice, not even lemon.
I think we should change it to National Habit Stacking Day.
Oh, done.
Yeah,
Done.
habit stacking.
August
for the win.
29th. August
We can start a
29th.
start
National
a
Habit
movement.
Stacking Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Joanne.
Oh,
That's a
gosh.
movement. That is
It's a
crazy.
movement.
This is cool. Thank you so much, Joanne.
My pleasure. I had a good time hanging out. I hope everybody learned at least one thing, had a takeaway or something that they think, oh, maybe I'll try that, or, you know. What was yours, Bennett? What was your takeaway?
See, as you were saying that, I'm like, she's gonna ask what my takeaway was. You know what? My takeaway is, I think I gotta write more things down. Like I gotta see some stuff. Like I think I can plan in my head and it works, but I can see when it doesn't work. So I think it would help if I actually wrote like lots of things, like not just my day, but the goals and stuff and all those wonderful things. I think if I wrote it down, that I could make myself do a little bit better.
Yeah, there's evidence actually to support that. That there's something about physically writing it down on a piece of paper that actually will significantly increase your chances of achieving that goal. Yeah. So what about you?
Oh shit.
What I learned
Saved by the bell
today is
hurry up, Fitz.
Going to sleep early so you can get rid of the brain poo. All right? Yeah, because don't want the brain poo. Not
brain poop.
Sure. Yeah. And then habit stacking, you know, like I know about it, but you reminded me about it. It just is hitting me so hard right now. It's like I think you've changed my life today. I think you've changed my life today. Yeah.
Nice.
All right. That was the alarm. Joanne, I told you about the alarm. Fitz, you got your answer. I know you wanted to elaborate, Fitz, but you know you're not getting to elaborate right now. So right now it's 11:10. Well, wait, hang on, everybody. Wait for
Just
it.
time for one more question.
I'll ask her a question right after. It's 11:10. We don't mess with 11:11. See, Joanne, I told you I get obnoxious and shit at this time. See, look,
You did warn
Mrs.
me.
Right? I was like, I get crazy. So if you've been around, for the people that have been around at 11:11, they know that we put good juju into the universe for that minute, whatever we want to manifest, whatever we want to be. We want to put some bad thoughts and change it into good thoughts, and we all like take it together and we put it out into the universe. So that's what happens at 11:11. So as this is our back to school special, and we got Joanne Dominico here, all good juju to the students that have either just started school or about to go into school.
Yes.
That they have a successful year and all that good stuff. So that's where the good juju is going in 3, 2, 1. It is now 11:11, everybody. So to the students, hopefully, if any students are watching, they learned a thing. And if you didn't learn a thing today, then hopefully they learn a thing tomorrow. So big up to the students, big up to good juju to Fitz Williams right here in front of me, Fitz Williams Jr. and his fiance, the QWERTY Queen, Carla. Shout out the QWERTY Queens up in the house as well. Joanne, to all that you've done and all that you're doing, and some of the things that you talked about that you're about to be doing. Good juju to that as well. And hopefully everything comes to fruition. So all good juju to that stuff, everybody.
Yes. Breathe in all the good energy, everybody. Whatever it is that you desire, whatever you want to manifest, just let all this good 11:11 energy get into it.
Love that.
Breathe that out. Breathe that out. It's 11:12.
Breathe it out.
You had a question? What was the question? You had a question for her? You said she could have one more question.
All right.
Ask her the question,
I got 2 questions. What is your favorite song?
Oh.
And what is your favorite movie?
Okay. My favorite movie, I'll start with that first, is Love Actually.
Love Actually.
Yeah, I love romantic comedies. And it's funny, I picked up my mom from the airport last night. And as I was standing there waiting for her, I get emotional when I see families seeing each other and hugging. And that's how the movie starts and ends. And it gets me every time. Yeah, I just love love. So that's my favorite movie. My favorite song. Oh, that's a tough one. My favorite song is probably right now a Masha Montano song. And it's called, oh my gosh, High Life. That's my favorite song right now. It's not a newer song of his. It's not that old though, but it says the first thing you do as you rise up is count your blessings. I listen to that every time I'm on my way to a workshop or if I just want to lift my mood. I just love the lyrics and I just love how it just kind of makes me feel happy. So that's my favorite song right now, but my favorite song often changes. So.
Awesome.
Yeah. Somebody said Wu-Tang.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing everything with us. Thank you for sharing your colorful agenda. And thank you for sharing your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. That was fun. That time went by fast. Wow.
It did. You're amazing.
Thank you. And big up that student if you see him again.
I will.
Big him up for me.
I will. Let me see that notepad. Let me see the pack of pens again.
Oh gosh. So these are it's on my Amazon store. Frixion. It's by I get it on Amazon, but they're erasable gel pens. So if you are a physical agenda person, yeah, I like it because things change, right? The podcast was rescheduled, so I had to erase it and put it for tonight. But yeah, it works. It definitely works for me. Colors.
Lots and lots of
In your
colors.
Yeah,
face.
and I'll show you one more thing quickly that I do too is you know, at the monthly pages where it has every day of the month.
Yes.
Some
Yeah.
people will write, you know, dentist appointment and all that. I use it for gratitude. So every day I write one thing that I'm grateful for in the monthly
Wow.
page. Yeah, because gratitude practice is also something that's very important.
That's amazing.
Why are you shaking your head to that? I mean, come on.
No, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yes, it's amazing.
And I'm just thinking about my journal with the 30-day
Mhm.
page, and there's no color.
I like color. It makes me happy.
No,
so.
there's nothing on it. I need to do my gratitude.
Yeah.
I need to get my colors. From August 29th is the birth and genesis of a new man. Thanks to you.
Okay. I want to see. I'm serious. I'm so serious. Send me a
Yes.
DM with the picture of the colors in your planner.
Yes. Yes.
And Brownting, you too. Follow me. You and I were connecting. Follow me and send me a DM of the things you've implemented. Okay.
Yes.
We're going to be IG buddies.
And Cindy,
you go.
you send Joanne DMs of you stretching in the shower.
Yeah.
Kids see you send the Joanne DMs of you doing calf raises while you're brushing your teeth.
I love it.
What else we got here?
What kind of anyways, we're gonna rate out everybody. We're gonna go to DJ D Money's on. Let's go see DJ D Money. So I'm gonna hit that button. Oh, I shanked it. Shit. Hang on. Let's try that again. I am DJ. I'm gonna do it the same. Money. I think that's what happened. TV. All right, rate is created. Before we get out of here, everybody, one more time. Here's Joanne's link. That's her main page, her Study with Joanne page, and here is her gram. Active gram, very active gram.
Let's put her on the
everybody.
spot. Let's put her on the spot right now.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
I
Joanne,
have to go. No, I have to go. No, just
reintroduce yourself and take us out.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Joanne Dominico, and I'm a learning and wellness strategist. So as the title implies, I provide strategies to help people, students learn and to improve their overall well-being. I work full-time at Centennial College, and I have my own private practice, Study with Joanne. And I love what I do, and I practice what I preach. And it's been a pleasure being on this podcast. I really enjoyed our chat, and I hope I inspired everyone today to try to be the best version of themselves as well. Thank you.
You definitely did. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. We will see you Friday morning, 7:45 a.m. We're rating out to DJ D Money. Thank you very much. Happy Tuesday.
Peace out, y'all. One time.
Bye.
All right. We are out. 1 second. We're going to end.